The sound of the klaxon was the first indication that something had gone terribly wrong. Ambassador Alara Jones paused mid-sentence, her proposal for a trade route hanging in the air like a fragile thread about to snap. Around her, the Grand Hall of the Galactic Transit Hub was a whirlwind of activity, species from every corner of the galaxy moving in synchronized chaos, their attention now sharply focused on the massive holoscreen that dominated the room's center. A voice, cold and mechanical, reverberated through the space. "Attention! Unauthorized vessel approaching. Security protocols activated." Alara exchanged a glance with Commander Thrace, her second in command and the only other human in the room. His eyes were sharp, calculating. "This wasn't supposed to happen," he murmured, more to himself than to her. The tension in the hall thickened, an invisible force pressing down on the delegates from the Vorthan Confederation, the sleek, fur-covered Xyloxians, and the imposing Takari, whose crystalline skin shimmered under the fluorescent lights. Alara stepped forward, her voice cutting through the rising murmur like a blade. "Esteemed delegates, please remain calm. We will handle this situation promptly." Her words were firm, but inside, her mind raced. Who would dare breach the heavily fortified perimeter of the hub? And why now, at the cusp of a delicate negotiation that could bring peace to a war-torn sector? Before anyone could respond, the hollow screen flickered, replaced by the image of an alien face, its eyes a deep, unsettling void. "Humans," it hissed, the word dripping with disdain. "You have overstepped your bounds." Alara felt a chill run down her spine but stood her ground. "Identify yourself," she demanded, her voice steady. "I am Lorkoth of the Hegemony," the alien declared, its voice echoing with authority and contempt. "Your kind's meddling in our affairs will no longer be tolerated." The room's atmosphere shifted, the undercurrent of hostility from the alien delegates becoming palpable. Alara knew this was no idle threat. The Hegemony was a formidable force, their reach extending to the darkest corners of the galaxy. Commander Thrace activated his comm link, whispering orders to the human fleet hidden just outside the hub's jurisdiction. Alara's mind was a storm, considering options, weighing consequences. They couldn't risk open conflict, not here, not now. "Lorkoth," she began, her tone a mix of diplomacy and warning. "We have no desire for conflict, but know this: Earth and her allies will not be intimidated. We have our own measures." The alien's laughter was a grating sound, echoing off the walls. "Measures? What could your primitive species possibly threaten us with?" Alara met the gaze of each alien delegate in the hall, her resolve crystallizing into a diamond-hard certainty. "Extinction," she replied softly, the word hanging in the air like the toll of a funeral bell. The hollow screen blinked off, and for a moment, silence reigned. Then a rumble, low and ominous, shook the hall as the unauthorized vessel exploded into a cloud of shimmering debris, the human fleet having responded with lethal precision. Commander Thrace's voice cut through the aftermath. "We need to move, Ambassador. The Hegemony won't take this lightly." But Alara was already in motion, the weight of the galaxy's fate pressing on her shoulders. The negotiations would continue, but now with a new understanding. The humans were not to be trifled with. As the delegates regrouped, some with newfound respect, others with simmering resentment, Alara knew this was only the beginning. The game had changed, and the stakes had never been higher. The diplomatic shuttle had barely docked at the Zarinth space station when the tension became palpable, a low hum resonating through the metallic structure like a distant storm gathering on the horizon. Captain Alara Monroe, freshly appointed representative of the United Earth Coalition, stepped off the shuttle with her team. The corridor stretched out before them, a stark contrast of sterile whites and glowing blues, leading towards the heart of the alien station, a place that was, until now, a mystery wrapped in diplomacy and promises. Alara's gaze swept the area, noting the subtle shifts in the expressions of her team. Lieutenant Harris, her security officer, whose hand instinctively hovered near the concealed weapon at his side, and Dr. Marissa Cheng, their xenobiologist, whose eyes darted around, absorbing every detail with scientific curiosity tempered by caution. Their mission was clear: solidify the new alliance with the Zarenth, a crucial step in strengthening humanity's foothold in this sector of the galaxy. But as Alara moved forward, a cold undercurrent whispered that things were not as they seemed. The Zarenth representative, a tall being with skin like shifting sand, approached with an elegance that belied the gravity of the situation. "Welcome, Captain Monroe," it said, the tone melodic yet carrying an edge that made Alara's skin prickle. "We have much to discuss." Alara nodded, but her mind was already racing. The Zarenth were known for their enigmatic ways, their words often holding double meanings. She had prepared for this, trained for it, yet the sense of foreboding was not something she could easily dismiss. "Yes, Representative Zafaro, we look forward to exploring the mutual benefits of our alliance." As they walked, Alara's team fell into step behind her. The corridors were lined with holographic displays, depicting scenes of Zarenth history and culture. Dr. Cheng paused momentarily before one such display, depicting their planet's creation myth, an intricate dance of light and shadow that lingered in the air like a memory. "Fascinating," she murmured to Harris, who merely grunted in response, his focus never wavering from their surroundings. Zafaro led them to a chamber that seemed to pulsate with a life of its own. The walls were adorned with bioluminescent vines, casting an ethereal glow over the diplomatic table at the center. As they took their seats, an unsettling silence descended, broken only by the soft hum of the station. "Our people have always valued the art of negotiation," Zafaro began, its eyes glinting with an unreadable intent. "However, there are matters that require immediate attention before we proceed." Alara leaned forward slightly, her diplomatic instincts sharpening. "And what matters would those be, Representative?" Zafaro's gaze shifted, and for a brief moment, Alara glimpsed something in its eyes, a flicker of uncertainty, of something unsaid. "There have been disturbances," it said finally, "occurrences that threaten the stability of this station and our negotiations." The room seemed to grow colder, the gravity of the words sinking in. "What kind of disturbances?" Dr. Cheng asked, her scientific curiosity piqued. Zafaro hesitated, and Alara knew they were at a critical juncture. "An unknown force has been detected near the station," it admitted. "An anomaly that defies our understanding and poses a potential threat." The revelation hung in the air, casting a shadow over their mission. Alara exchanged a glance with Harris, whose expression had shifted from wary observation to hardened resolve. "We need more information," Alara said, her voice steady despite the urgency prickling beneath it. "If there is a threat, we must address it together." Zafaro inclined its head, a gesture that Alara hoped was one of agreement. "We have limited data," it said, gesturing to a console embedded in the table. A holographic display flickered to life, showing a swirling mass of energy, its form constantly shifting, as if alive. "This anomaly appeared 2 cycles ago. Its nature eludes us, but its presence has disrupted our systems and communications." Dr. Cheng leaned closer, her eyes narrowing as she studied the display. "It's unlike anything I've seen," she said, almost to herself. "Could it be a naturally occurring phenomenon?" Zafaro's response was a slow, deliberate shake of its head. "We do not believe so. Its emergence coincides with the arrival of a rogue fleet, one that has skirted the edges of our territory." "A fleet?" Harris interjected, his voice tinged with disbelief. "Unidentified ships, you mean?" Zafaro nodded. "Yes, they have maintained a distance, but their intentions are unknown. We suspect they may be linked to the anomaly." The implications were clear, and they were far from comforting. Alara felt the weight of the situation settle on her shoulders. "Then our mission is twofold," she declared, a renewed determination in her voice. "We must forge our alliance and address this threat together." Zafaro's eyes met hers, and in that moment, an unspoken understanding passed between them. "Agreed," it said, a note of respect in its tone. As they departed the chamber, Alara's mind was already strategizing, formulating a plan of action. The Zarenth had been up front, but the unknown fleet and the anomaly were variables that could not be ignored. She knew they needed more data, a clearer picture of what they were dealing with. Back in their quarters, the tension was palpable. Harris stood near the viewport, eyes scanning the stars as if seeking answers in their distant light. Dr. Cheng had already set up her portable lab, her fingers flying over controls as she attempted to analyze the data provided. "Thoughts?" Alara asked, breaking the silence that had settled like a shroud around them. Harris turned, his expression grim. "I've seen something like this before," he admitted, his voice low. "Back during the Hadron incursions. They used anomalies to mask their movements, create diversions. If that's what's happening here." Alara nodded, her mind racing. The Hadrons had been a formidable foe, their tactics ruthless. If a similar threat was looming, it could spell disaster for their mission and the fragile stability of the region. Dr. Cheng looked up from her console, her brow furrowed in concentration. "The energy signature of the anomaly is unlike anything in our databases," she said. "But there are faint traces of something manufactured. It's as if it's being manipulated." The revelation sent a chill through Alara. "Then it's likely tied to the fleet," she concluded. "A weapon, perhaps, or a tool for invasion." Harris nodded, his expression hardening with resolve. "We need to confront this. If we're to secure this alliance, we have to neutralize the threat." Alara knew he was right, but the path forward was fraught with uncertainty. "We'll need to coordinate with Zafaro and their security forces," she said. "A joint operation to investigate and, if necessary, intercept the fleet." As they began preparing, a sudden tremor shook the station, the floor vibrating beneath their feet. Alara's heart leapt into her throat, her instincts kicking in. What was that? An alarm blared, its insistent tone echoing through the corridors. Harris was already moving, his hand on his weapon, eyes sharp and alert. "Let's go," he urged, and they followed him out, the urgency of the situation propelling them forward. The station was in chaos, the normally serene halls filled with the sounds of emergency protocols and hurried footsteps. Zarenth security personnel moved with precision, directing the flow of people and securing critical areas. They reached the operations center, where Zafaro was coordinating efforts, its calm demeanor a beacon amidst the tumult. "The anomaly has intensified," it reported as Alara and her team entered. "Our systems are struggling to compensate." Alara took in the scene. The holographic displays showing the swirling mass of energy, now larger and more erratic. "We need to act now," she said, her voice cutting through the noise. "Can we get a shuttle close to the anomaly?" Zafaro considered, its gaze flicking to a nearby officer who nodded in confirmation. "We can attempt it, but it will be dangerous." "Dangerous or not, we need to understand what we're dealing with," Alara insisted. "Harris, I need you and Cheng to go with them. Gather as much data as you can." Harris nodded, his expression resolute, while Dr. Cheng hesitated for only a moment before her scientific curiosity won out. "We'll get it done," she promised. As they prepared to leave, Alara felt the weight of her decision. Sending her team into the unknown was a risk, but it was a necessary one. The stakes were too high to do nothing. The shuttle launch was swift, a coordinated effort between human and Zarenth, the craft slipping from the docking bay and into the void. Alara watched from the operations center, her heart in her throat as the shuttle approached the anomaly. Inside, Harris and Cheng worked with a steady efficiency born of necessity. The shuttle's instruments buzzed with activity, the readings fluctuating wildly as they neared the swirling mass. "Getting anything?" Harris asked, his focus split between the readouts and the view beyond the viewport. "Just a lot of noise," Cheng replied, frustration tinged with determination in her voice. "But there are patterns in the chaos. If I can just isolate them." As she spoke, the anomaly seemed to pulse, a ripple of energy cascading outwards. The shuttle shuddered, the lights flickering as systems struggled to compensate. "Hold on," the pilot called, wrestling with the controls. Harris braced himself as the shuttle lurched, his adrenaline spiking. Cheng's fingers flew over the controls, her focus unyielding. "I've got something," she said, her voice tight with concentration. "A frequency, buried beneath the interference. It's like a signal." "A signal?" Harris repeated, his mind racing. "You mean it's broadcasting?" Cheng nodded, her eyes wide with the implications. "Yes, and it's directed. It's like it's probing for something." Harris' mind worked swiftly, the pieces falling into place with chilling clarity. "It's a beacon," he realized aloud. "A signal calling the fleet." Back in the operations center, Alara monitored the situation, her heart pounding as the tension ratcheted higher. Zafaro stood beside her, its expression unreadable but its presence a steadying force. "We've detected a frequency." Cheng's voice crackled over the comm, the words distorted but clear enough. "It's a beacon, Captain. The anomaly is signaling the fleet." The revelation hit Alara like a physical blow, the breath rushing from her lungs. "We have to stop it," she said, her voice resolute. "If it's calling the fleet, we have no time to waste." Zafaro's eyes met hers, and in that moment, an unspoken alliance was forged. "We will assist," it pledged. "Our forces are at your disposal." Alara nodded, the path forward clear despite the unknowns that lay ahead. "Prepare for a coordinated strike," she ordered. "We need to disrupt that signal." As the operations center mobilized, she took a deep breath, her resolve hardening like steel. The stakes had never been higher, the risk never greater. But failure was not an option. Humanity's place in the galaxy depended on their success. The shuttle, now a vanguard in this high-stakes endeavor, maneuvered closer to the anomaly, the energy swirling around it like a living thing. Harris and Cheng worked in unison, their actions fueled by urgency and determination. "Can we disrupt the signal?" Harris asked, his mind racing through possibilities. Cheng considered, her gaze never leaving the data streaming past. "If we can generate enough interference, it might weaken the transmission." Harris nodded, his focus narrowing to the task at hand. "Then let's make some noise." The shuttle shuddered as they executed the plan, the systems straining under the load. Cheng worked feverishly, her fingers a blur over the controls, while Harris kept a steady hand on the weapon systems, ready to defend against any threat. Back on the station, Alara coordinated their efforts, her voice a calm anchor amidst the chaos. "Focus the interference beam on their frequency," she instructed, "and prepare for a counterattack." Zafaro's forces moved with precise efficiency, their technology complementing the human efforts in a seamless dance of cooperation. The Zaranth ships, sleek and agile, took up formation alongside the human vessels, their presence a formidable display of solidarity. As the interference beam activated, the space around the anomaly seemed to ripple, the energy fluctuating under the assault. The beacon's signal wavered, its strength faltering but not yet broken. "We need more power," Harris urged, his voice tight with urgency. "We're not cutting through." Cheng nodded, her focus unwavering. Diverting all non-essential systems, she announced, her hands moving with practiced precision. The interstellar conference room was dimly lit, shadows draping across the faces of the delegates like veils hiding their true intentions. The air was thick with tension, the silence only broken by the occasional hum of alien technology. Ambassador Leora Kane stood at the center of it all, her eyes scanning the assembly of intergalactic representatives. They were an eclectic mix, species from every corner of the galaxy, each with their own agenda. The crisis had begun weeks ago, with the subtle yet undeniable encroachment of the Valtteri Syndicate. Known for their ruthless expansion and insidious manipulation, they were a shadowy force with influence that stretched far beyond their home systems. The humans, a relatively new presence on the galactic stage, had entered these negotiations with a reputation for unpredictability, a trait that had both intrigued and unnerved their counterparts. Leora's assistant, Marcus Chen, stood by her side, his fingers dancing nervously over the holographic tablet that contained vital diplomatic communiques. "The Valtteri have increased their demands," he whispered, his voice barely audible over the low murmur of alien languages. They expect unconditional surrender of several human outposts. Leora's jaw tightened, a subtle sign of frustration. It's a test, she replied, her voice calm despite the storm brewing around them. They want to see how far they can push us. Across the room, the Valtteri representative, High Executor Zalcor, exuded a presence that was both imposing and inscrutable. His eyes, black as voids, seemed to pierce through the layers of negotiation, searching for weakness. When he spoke, his voice was a resonant baritone, echoing off the walls like a death knell. Humanity must understand its place in the galaxy. Resistance is futile. The words hung in the air, and Leora felt the weight of them. The Valtteri had resources and technology that dwarfed anything humanity could muster. Their ships, sleek and deadly, patrolled the stars like predators, and their influence was like a virus, creeping into allied systems and turning friends into foes. But Leora knew that humanity's greatest weapon was not its fledgling fleet or its nascent alliances. It was the tenacity, the relentless spirit that had driven them from the cradle of Earth to the vastness of space. Executor Zalcor, we seek peace, not conflict, Leora replied, her voice steady and clear. But peace must be built on mutual respect and understanding. A ripple of laughter, cold and mocking, spread through the Valtteri delegation. Zalcor leaned forward, his gaze fixed on Leora. Respect is earned, Ambassador Kane, and you have yet to earn ours. The human delegates shifted uncomfortably, aware of the impossible odds. Yet amidst the tension, Leora's mind whirled with possibilities, her instincts searching for a crack in the Valtteri's seemingly impenetrable armor. Humans had always thrived in adversity, and Leora believed there had to be a way, some undiscovered leverage hidden beneath the surface of their predicament. Back in their quarters, Marcus confronted Leora, his frustration bubbling over. We can't keep bluffing, Leora. We're outmatched in every conceivable way. If the Valtteri call our bluff, it could mean the end for us. Leora nodded, acknowledging the truth in his words. I know, Marcus, but we can't show weakness. Not yet. There's something. She trailed off, her thoughts elusive, like fragments of a dream just out of reach. There's something we're missing. Their conversation was interrupted by a message from the Terran Council, the governing body back on Earth. The message was brief, but its implications were staggering. New intelligence confirms Valtteri plans to annex the Helios cluster. Immediate action required. The Helios cluster was a strategic nexus of trade routes and resources. Its loss would cripple human efforts to solidify their place in the galaxy. The stakes had just been raised exponentially, and Leora felt the familiar weight of responsibility pressing down on her shoulders. In an uncharacteristic move, Leora decided to reach out to an old acquaintance, a Xyrilian diplomat named Thalkira. The Xyrilians were renowned for their neutrality and wisdom, often serving as mediators in interstellar disputes. Thalkira had a reputation for seeing beyond the obvious, for understanding the hidden currents that shaped the galaxy's fate. Their meeting took place in a secluded alcove within the sprawling structure of the conference center. Thalkira's appearance was both ethereal and regal, her translucent skin shimmering with vibrant hues as she spoke. Leora Kane, it is rare to see such determination in your kind. What troubles your heart? Leora hesitated, then spoke candidly. The Valtteri's aggression threatens everything we've built. I need to understand their true motivations, their vulnerabilities. Thalkira's gaze was penetrating, as if she could see into the depths of Leora's soul. The Valtteri are like the river, relentless and unyielding. But even rivers can be diverted, their courses altered by the smallest of stones. What stone do we possess that could alter their course? Leora asked, her voice tinged with desperation. Thalkira considered her words carefully. The Valtteri fear chaos, unpredictability. They believe they can control every variable, but life is not so easily tamed. Find the paradox, the contradiction in their plans, and you may find your stone. Leora returned to her quarters, Thalkira's words echoing in her mind. Was there a paradox, a flaw in the Valtteri's grand design that they could exploit? She and Marcus spent hours dissecting reports, analyzing patterns, searching for anything that could give them an edge. As the days wore on, the mood among the human delegation grew increasingly grim. Doubt crept in like a thief in the night, eroding their resolve. Marcus, in particular, seemed haunted by a sense of impending doom. "Maybe we're just not ready for this," he admitted one evening, staring out at the distant stars. Leora placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "We've faced impossible odds before, Marcus. And each time, we've found a way. We just need to keep believing in ourselves, even when things seem darkest." Their resolve was soon tested when an unexpected message arrived from the Valtteri. A personal invitation for Leora to visit their flagship, the Obsidian Empress. It was a rare honor, but also a dangerous gambit. The implications were clear. The Valtteri were either extending an olive branch or laying a trap. Marcus argued against accepting the invitation, fearing it was a ploy to eliminate Leora or manipulate her into submission. But Leora saw it as an opportunity, a chance to learn more about their adversaries. "We need to understand them if we want any hope of countering their plans," she insisted. Boarding the Obsidian Empress was like stepping into a world of shadows and secrets. The ship was a marvel of engineering, its corridors lined with intricate alien art that told stories of conquest and dominion. Leora was escorted to a chamber where Executor Zalcor awaited, his expression inscrutable. "Ambassador Kane, welcome to the heart of the Valtteri fleet," Zalcor intoned, gesturing to the panoramic view of the stars beyond. "I trust the journey was comfortable." "It was enlightening," Leora replied, her eyes meeting his without flinching. "You've called me here for a reason, Executor." Zalcor's lips curled into a thin smile. "Indeed, the Valtteri are not without mercy. We offer you a choice. A chance to preserve your species, if you are wise enough to take it." He laid out their terms, a proposal for humanity to become a vassal state, submitting to Valtteri oversight in exchange for their continued existence. It was a bitter pill, one that would strip humanity of its autonomy but preserve a semblance of their civilization. Leora listened, her mind racing. The offer was degrading, but it also provided a temporary reprieve from annihilation. Could there be a way to use this to buy time, to find the paradox Thalkira had spoken of? Returning to her delegation, Leora shared the Valtteri's proposal. The reaction was mixed, with some seeing it as the only viable option and others, like Marcus, vehemently opposed. "We can't surrender our future for the sake of temporary safety," he argued. In the days that followed, the strain of the decision weighed heavily on Leora. She found herself confiding in Thalkira once more, seeking counsel from the one being who seemed to understand the complexities of their plight. "Choices define us, Leora Kane," Thalkira said softly. "But sometimes, the choices we don't make define us even more. Trust in your instincts, and remember that change often comes from the unexpected." As the deadline for their decision loomed, Leora felt the pressure mounting. Desperation clawed at her resolve, and even Marcus, her staunchest ally, seemed to falter under the weight of uncertainty. But then, as if by providence, a breakthrough occurred. Marcus, in a fit of inspiration, realized that the Valtteri's expansion relied heavily on a fragile network of alliances, each one delicately balanced. If one were to falter, the entire structure could collapse. Leora saw the potential in this revelation, a glimmer of hope in the darkness. "We can exploit this," she said, her voice filled with newfound determination. "If we can sow discord among their allies, we might just have a chance." Galvanized by this discovery, they set to work, crafting a plan to undermine the Valtteri's web of influence. It was a risky endeavor, fraught with unknowns, but it was the stone they had been searching for, the paradox that could change the course of history. As they prepared to put their plan into motion, Leora gathered her delegation, her eyes shining with resolve. "We may be outmatched, but we are not outwitted. This is our chance to prove that humanity is more than the sum of its parts. Together, we can turn the tide." The future was uncertain, and the odds were still against them, but in that moment, Leora Kane and her team understood that hope was not a luxury, it was a necessity. And with that hope, they would face whatever challenges lay ahead, determined to carve their own path through the stars. The air on the bridge of the diplomatic vessel, Arbitrator Asterisk, was heavy with the anticipation of a cosmic storm. Captain Alara Chen stood rigid, eyes trained on the luminescent display before her. A myriad of alien symbols danced across the screen, their cryptic meaning decipherable only to those trained in the nuances of interstellar diplomacy. "We've lost contact with the delegation team," said Lieutenant Ashcroft, a hint of urgency threading his British-tinged voice. Alara felt the weight of the proclamation settle into the pit of her stomach. Their delegation, led by Ambassador Reeve, had been negotiating with the enigmatic Drathan Collective on the surface of the planet Eumerian for weeks. The Collective, known for their insular and secretive nature, were vital allies to secure against the impending threat of the Zurith Armada. "Options?" Alara shot back, her voice a steely calm as she evaluated the console's flickering data streams. "None good, ma'am," Ashcroft replied, fingers flying over his station. "The Drathan are notorious for their distrust of technology. Our surveillance drones are grounded by their planetary defenses. All we have is a single encoded message from Reeve before the blackout. The crucible is set." Alara's heart quickened. The crucible. It was an emergency code, a signal that negotiations had gone awry and the team was in imminent danger. Whatever maneuverings the Drathan were engaged in, they were now playing for keeps. "Prepare the shuttle for immediate descent," Alara ordered, her resolve crystallizing. "And scramble the contingency squad." As Ashcroft moved to relay the orders, Alara turned her gaze to a small, unassuming object in her hand. A piece of intricately carved wood, a token of trust from an old friend within the Drathan hierarchy. Its presence was both a comfort and a reminder of the delicate balance they tread. Her thoughts drifted to the pivotal meeting the day before, where Ambassador Reeve had sensed a shift in the Drathan's demeanor. Something had changed, and now, they were on the brink. The shuttle bay hummed with urgency as the team assembled. Among them was Sergeant Lena Torres, a tactical genius with a penchant for the unconventional. Her reputation preceded her. Stories of outwitting superior forces with little more than intuition and resourcefulness were whispered with respect among the crew. "Sergeant," Alara greeted, her voice carrying the weight of command and camaraderie. "You're leading the extraction team." Torres nodded, her eyes a blend of determination and understanding. "We'll bring them back, Captain." As the shuttle breached Eumerian's atmosphere, the landscape unfurled below like a tapestry of alien beauty and danger. Jagged mountains pierced the clouds, while luminescent flora dotted the dense forests, casting an eerie glow on the terrain. "Signal interference is off the charts," Torres noted, her voice crackling over the comms. "We're flying blind." Alara's mind worked through variables, searching for any advantage. "Trust your instincts, Torres. You have a knack for finding paths where none exist." "Copy that, Captain." There was a pause, and then, "We've got incoming. Hostile Drathan interceptors, vectoring in fast." Alara's heart thudded. The Drathan had never been overtly aggressive until now. Evasive maneuvers, and keep the extraction route open. The shuttle jinked and rolled as Torres executed a series of deft maneuvers, the Drathan interceptors streaking past with menacing grace. The air around them sizzled with anticipation, the threat of the unknown pressing down like the weight of a storm. Back on the bridge, Alara coordinated with Ashcroft, her mind racing through scenarios and contingencies. The Drathan's aggression was unexpected, but it hinted at deeper machinations. "Captain, I've managed to decrypt part of Reeve's message," Ashcroft announced, his eyes narrowing as he pieced together the fragments. "It mentioned something called the Veil." "The Veil?" Alara repeated, her curiosity piqued. It was an enigma wrapped within Drathan lore, a concept rarely spoken of even in whispers. Legends suggested it was a barrier of sorts, a mechanism protecting something of immense value or danger. "Whatever it is, Ambassador Reeve believed it was key to our survival," Ashcroft continued. "And it seems the Drathan's sudden hostility is tied to it." As the shuttle neared the location of the delegation's last known position, a new challenge presented itself. An energy field, invisible yet palpable, shimmered across the landscape. It was a manifestation of the planet's natural defenses, a barrier that resisted technological intrusion. "How do we get through that?" Torres asked, eyes scanning the readings. "Drathan technology is notoriously resistant to direct intervention," Alara replied. "We need a workaround, perhaps a more human approach?" Torres suggested, her mind already spinning with ideas. Alara nodded, recalling the time-honored human tradition of lateral thinking, leveraging the unexpected, the underestimated. "Do it," Torres instructed her team to improvise, using a combination of manual tools and ingenuity. They dismantled parts of the shuttle's hull, fashioning a rudimentary device to disrupt the energy field's frequency. As the field flickered and weakened, the shuttle pierced through, landing in a clearing surrounded by towering obsidian spires. The atmosphere was charged with tension, the threat of the unknown ever present. "On me," Torres called, rallying her team as they moved with practiced efficiency toward the last known location of the delegation. The site was eerily quiet, the stillness broken only by the whisper of the wind. Alara's heart sank as they discovered evidence of a struggle, overturned equipment, scorch marks on the ground. But no sign of Ambassador Reeve or the others. "They were here," Torres said, kneeling near a patch of disturbed earth. "But taken somewhere else." Alara's mind raced as she tried to piece together the puzzle. The Drathan's motives remained shrouded in mystery, their actions inexplicable. But one thing was clear. The humans were on the verge of losing a critical alliance. "Captain, we've got movement," Torres alerted, pointing toward the tree line where shadowy figures lurked. As they emerged, Alara recognized the Drathan warriors, tall, sinewy beings clad in armor that seemed to shimmer with otherworldly light. Their leader stepped forward, a figure Alara recognized as Dreklin, an old ally turned adversary. "Captain Chen," Dreklin greeted, his voice a sibilant whisper that carried the weight of centuries. "You tread on forbidden ground. We seek only the truth and the safe return of our people," Alara replied, her tone measured yet firm. "The truth," Dreklin mused, as if tasting the word. "It is a rare commodity, hidden beneath layers of deception." "What is the veil?" Alara pressed, sensing this was the crux of their conflict. Dreklin's gaze was inscrutable, his silence a barrier of its own. "The veil is a safeguard, a boundary between what is and what must never be." Alara's mind spun with possibilities, the implications vast and unfathomable. "And our people? They are held in the crucible, a test of intent and resolve," Dreklin replied, his eyes betraying a glint of something akin to respect. "Pass the test, and the path will be revealed." The stakes were higher than ever, the path fraught with peril. Yet, in the darkness, a spark of human ingenuity flickered. Alara had seen it time and again, the capacity to adapt, to turn the tide in the most dire of circumstances. "Then we will pass your test," Alara declared, her resolve unyielding. "For the sake of our people and our future." Dreklin inclined his head, a gesture of acknowledgement. "Very well. But know this, Captain, the Crucible will demand more than you can imagine." As the Drathan warriors faded into the shadows, Alara gathered her team, the weight of their mission pressing down with renewed intensity. The path ahead was uncertain, the dangers manifold, but in the crucible of adversity, humanity had always found a way to endure, to rise above the chaos. "We'll need everything we've got, every resource, every ounce of creativity," Alara said, her voice steady. "And we'll need to trust each other like never before." Torres and the others nodded, their expressions a mix of determination and solidarity. They were ready to face whatever lay ahead, ready to prove what humanity was truly capable of. As they moved deeper into the forest, the shadows lengthened, the crucible drawing them ever closer. And in that moment, at the precipice of despair, a glimmer of hope flickered, the indomitable human spirit, poised to confront the unknown and emerge stronger for it. In the heart of the crucible, where light and darkness converged, the fate of the delegation, and perhaps the galaxy, hung in the balance. The path was treacherous, fraught with challenges yet unseen, but Alara and her team advanced with unwavering resolve. Each step brought them closer to the truth, to the heart of the mystery that was the Veil. As the forest thickened, the team encountered traps disguised as natural obstacles, each one a test of their ingenuity. Sergeant Torres led with a keen eye, her instincts guiding them past pitfalls and through hidden passages. It was a dance of survival, their movements synchronized by necessity and trust. The Crucible, it appeared, was not just a physical trial but a test of spirit and unity. The Draythan had crafted it to measure the mettle of those who dared to challenge their boundaries. As they pressed on, the team stumbled upon an ancient structure, its architecture alien yet awe-inspiring. The entrance was flanked by imposing statues, guardians of the secrets within. Alara felt a tingling at the base of her skull, a sensation she had come to associate with moments of profound significance. The air was charged with potential, the weight of history pressing down upon them. "This is it," she said, her voice a whisper that carried through the team. The heart of the Crucible. Inside, the atmosphere shifted, a palpable tension threading through the air. The chamber was vast, its walls lined with symbols that pulsed with an inner light. In the center stood a pedestal, upon which rested a crystalline artifact, the Veil. Reverence and caution battled within Alara as she approached, the mysteries of the Draythan laid bare before her. "Captain," Ashcroft's voice crackled over the comms, "we're detecting a massive energy buildup from the artifact. It's resonating with something beyond our sensors." Alara's mind raced. The artifact was the key, but it was also a trap, a final test of their resolve and understanding. "We need to engage with it," Alara decided, her voice steady despite the enormity of the task. But carefully. Together, the team worked, their combined skills and knowledge coalescing into a unified effort. Each member played a role, their individual strengths forming a tapestry of human ingenuity. As they deciphered the symbols, the artifact responded, its glow intensifying until it enveloped them in a radiant embrace. Visions danced before Alara's eyes, glimpses of the Draythan's past, their struggles and triumphs, their hopes and fears. And at the core, the truth of the Veil, a conduit of understanding, a bridge between worlds. But even as the truth unfurled, a shadow loomed. The Zurith Armada had discovered their location, their forces converging with lethal intent. "We're out of time," Torres warned, her voice a beacon of urgency. Alara's heart pounded as she faced the dual threat of discovery and destruction. The Crucible had tested them, and now they stood on the brink of failure. But in that moment of darkness, Alara saw it, the spark of human adaptability, the capacity to look beyond the immediate, to see the possibilities within the impossible. "Activate the artifact," she commanded, her voice a clarion call. "Let's show them what it means to be human." In a flash of brilliance, the artifact surged with energy, its power resonating with the very fabric of existence. The chamber trembled, the air alive with potential. As the Zurith assault bore down upon them, Alara and her team stood undaunted, ready to face the final challenge. In the heart of the Crucible, humanity's darkest moment held the promise of a new dawn. The diplomatic shuttle careened through the cold void, streaking past the detritus of space-time conflict. Its hull, a glistening testament to human engineering, bore the battle scars of a confrontation that had left its crew a mere whisper away from oblivion. Inside, dim emergency lights cast long, flickering shadows, while the quiet hum of failing systems underscored the urgent whispers of the surviving crew. Captain Elias Monroe sat hunched over the command console, his eyes darting across displays that told of dwindling resources. His fingers ached from clutching the armrests, yet he refused to relinquish his grip. The loss of the diplomatic mission had been devastating, the fragile accord with the Vathi shattered like glass. Now, they were hunted, prey to the predatory instincts of an alien fleet that saw humans as nothing more than pests to be eradicated. "Powers critical, Cap," Lieutenant Mayhew reported, her voice a low murmur of controlled panic. She was young, too young to face death in the void, yet her eyes held a steely resolve that belied her years. "We won't survive another direct hit." Monroe nodded, a grim acknowledgement of their precarious situation. They had slipped away from the initial onslaught by the skin of their teeth, but the Vathi were patient hunters, and each second ticked them closer to capture or annihilation. "Options?" Monroe asked, his voice a gravelly echo of authority. "None that are good," said Dr. Elena Vasquez, the mission's chief strategist, her eyes intent on the holographic map that flickered above the table. It displayed the star system like an elaborate chessboard, with their shuttle a lone pawn pursued by a ruthless opponent's knights. "If we can reach the asteroid field, we might lose them in the debris. But without power, we're sitting ducks. Then we make for the field," Monroe decided, the weariness in his voice masked by determination. "Send a distress signal, broad spectrum. Someone has to hear us." "It's risky," Vasquez warned. "The Vathi will pick it up too." "Risk is all we have left," Monroe replied. "We can't win by running forever." The message burst forth from their ship, a cry for help flung into the indifferent vastness. Monroe knew the odds were against them. Humanity stood on the brink of extinction, the coalition of worlds fractured, and their allies scattered or subjugated. Yet, hope was a stubborn ember in the human heart, refusing to die out. As the shuttle limped towards the asteroid field, the crew worked tirelessly, patching systems with anything they could find, redistributing power, and recalibrating sensors. Each member knew their role, the unspoken trust between them forged in the crucible of shared adversity. They were not just a crew. They were a family, bound together by the belief that humanity still had a place among the stars. The Vathi ship loomed large behind them, a silhouette of menace against the backdrop of distant stars. Its captain, Commander Stahl, watched the fleeing shuttle with a predatory confidence. Humans were resourceful, yes, but ultimately outmatched by Vathi superiority. This was but a game to him, and the end was inevitable. "Prepare to engage," Stahl ordered, his voice a rasp of authority. "We'll disable their engines and take them alive. The Council will want prisoners." The Vathi's overconfidence was palpable, a fatal hubris that had been their undoing before. Yet, they had learned from those mistakes, or so they believed. Stahl's eyes gleamed with the anticipation of victory, certain that no trick could save the humans now. Back on the shuttle, Monroe and his crew braced for the onslaught. The asteroid field loomed ahead, a chaotic dance of rock and ice that promised both refuge and danger. It was their last refuge, a forlorn hope against a surging tide. Approaching the field, Mayhew announced, her fingers dancing over the controls. "We'll need to navigate manually. Everyone hold on," Monroe instructed, gripping the console as the shuttle plunged into the field. The ship shuddered violently, its hull groaning under the strain as Mayhew weaved through the debris with a skill that belied the shuttle's condition. Behind them, the Vathi ship followed, its sleek design allowing it to maneuver with lethal grace. Stahl watched the chase with dispassionate interest, his confidence unshaken. "There's a break in the field up ahead," Vasquez reported, her eyes scanning the map. "If we can reach it, we might be able to slingshot around those larger asteroids." "Do it," Monroe commanded. "Mayhew, you're our ace in the hole." The shuttle danced through the asteroids, its path erratic yet purposeful. Each maneuver was a calculated risk, a testament to human ingenuity and the indomitable will to survive. Behind them, the Vathi closed in, their weapons primed for the kill. Suddenly, the shuttle banked hard, narrowly dodging a massive asteroid that loomed like a leviathan in the void. Mayhew's hands flew across the controls, her focus absolute as she pushed the shuttle to its limits. "Now," Vasquez shouted, and Mayhew executed a daring maneuver, using the asteroid's gravity to whip the shuttle around in a breakneck slingshot. The Vathi ship, caught off guard by the unexpected move, hesitated for a fraction of a second, just long enough for the humans to gain precious distance. It was a slender lead, yet enough to tip the scales. Monroe seized the opportunity, his mind racing as he devised a plan born of desperation. "Vasquez, can we divert power to the engines for one final push?" "It'll leave us with nothing," Vasquez warned. "It's all or nothing," Monroe replied. "Do it." Power surged through the shuttle, its engines roaring to life with renewed vigor. The ship shot forward, propelled by the last vestiges of its energy reserves. Behind them, the Vathi ship struggled to maintain pursuit, its crew scrambling to compensate for the humans' unexpected maneuver. As the asteroid field thinned, the shuttle burst into open space, its sensors still scanning for any sign of salvation. The crew held their breath, each second stretching into eternity as they waited for the Vathi to close the gap. It was then that the shuttle's distress signal was answered. The display lit up with the unmistakable signature of a human vessel, a lone frigate emerging from the shadow of a distant moon. Its arrival was a beacon of hope, a reminder that humanity was not yet defeated. Unknown frigate, this is Captain Elias Monroe of the diplomatic shuttle Perseverance. "We're in need of immediate assistance," Monroe transmitted, his voice steady despite the odds. "This is Commander Arya Chen of the frigate Resolute," came the reply, crisp and authoritative. "We have you on our scopes, Perseverance. Hold tight, we're coming in." The frigate surged forward, its weapons primed and ready. It was a lone knight against a predatory foe, yet its arrival was enough to tip the balance. "Vathi vessel, disengage or be fired upon," Chen warned, her voice carrying the weight of human resolve. Stahl hesitated for the first time, the unexpected presence of the human frigate a wrinkle in his otherwise flawless plan. Yet, his confidence remained unshaken. A single vessel was no match for his fleet. "Engage the frigate," he ordered, the Vathi ship's weapons blazing to life. The Resolute responded with equal ferocity, its guns blazing as its crew fought with the desperation of those who had nothing left to lose. The battle was fierce, each side giving no quarter as the void blazed with the fury of their conflict. On board the Perseverance, Monroe watched the engagement unfold, his heart pounding with the rhythm of hope. It was a slim chance, a fleeting opportunity that might turn the tide of their fate. "Come on, Resolute," he whispered, his hands clenched in silent prayer. The human frigate danced through the maelstrom, its crew executing maneuvers with precision and daring. Each volley was a message, a declaration that humanity would not bow to extinction. The Vathi, for all their superiority, had underestimated the tenacity of their prey. In the chaos of battle, the Resolute managed to draw the Vathi into a trap of its own making. By feigning a retreat, it lured the alien ship into the path of a massive asteroid, its trajectory carefully calculated to intersect with the Vathi's course. Stahl realized the danger too late, his ship caught in the gravitational pull. The Vathi vessel struggled to evade, but the asteroid bore down with the inevitability of fate. In a final desperate act, the Resolute unleashed a concentrated barrage, its weapons striking the Vathi ship with pinpoint accuracy. The alien vessel shuddered under the onslaught, its hull breached in multiple places. The Vathi ship's death throes echoed through the void as it collided with the asteroid, a cataclysmic explosion that lit up the darkness. The shockwave rippled outward, a testament to the human spirit that refused to die. Monroe and his crew watched in awe, their breaths caught in their throats as the realization of their survival sank in. The Resolute had turned the tide, its intervention a lifeline in the sea of despair. "Perseverance, this is Resolute. Stand by for boarding and assistance." Chen's voice crackled through the comms, a lifeline of hope. Monroe exhaled, the weight of their ordeal lifting as the frigate's shuttles approached. His crew shared weary smiles, their exhaustion tempered by the resurgence of hope. "Thank you, Resolute," Monroe replied, his voice a quiet testament to their determination. "We owe you our lives. We're all in this together, Captain," Chen responded, her words a reminder of the unity that bound them. Humanity still stands. As the shuttles docked, the crew of the Perseverance prepared for the next chapter of their journey. They had survived the darkest hour, their spirits unbroken by the trials they had faced. The Vathi had underestimated the tenacity of the human heart, and that miscalculation would cost them dearly. For even in the face of overwhelming odds, humanity would not yield. The seeds of resurgence had been planted, and the time of reckoning was at hand. As the void settled into silence, the story of human determination continued, a beacon of hope in the vast, mysterious expanse of the universe. The chamber was silent, save for the muted hum of alien oscillators and the soft rustle of diplomatic robes. The Galactic Conclave had convened under the great dome of the council hall, its walls imbued with the iridescent glow of 1,000 spectrums. Representatives from every corner of the known universe had gathered, each bearing their own agenda, their own fears. At the center of this assembly, beneath the scrutinizing gaze of myriad eyes, stood the humans. Ambassador Julia Carter, a woman of indomitable poise, was at the helm. Her team of delegates flanked her, their expressions a mosaic of resolve and caution. They were surrounded by towering forms of Crothian envoys, the serpentine elegance of the Zinther, and the crystalline presence of the Veldari, whose translucent bodies shimmered with ethereal light. The conclave's purpose today was clear: to decide humanity's fate. The humans had ventured into the galactic community only recently, their sudden emergence a source of both curiosity and concern. Their technological prowess seemed advanced for their planetary stage, and whispers of their potential had begun to circulate like shadowy phantoms through the corridors of power. Ambassador Ralgar of the Crothians, a species known for their martial prowess and tactical acumen, leaned forward, his eyes narrowing as they fixed on Julia. His voice, like gravel crushed beneath heavy boots, resonated through the chamber. We have observed the humans' rapid advancement, yet their intentions remain obscured by veils of ambiguity. We must question if their presence here is a mere masquerade for more insidious designs. A murmur rippled through the assembly, a cautious agreement that hung in the air with the weight of a storm cloud. Julia remained unflinching, her gaze steady. "We come in peace," she began, her voice clear and filled with a tranquil authority. "Our advances are born of necessity, our intentions transparent. Humanity seeks cooperation, not conquest." Laughter, cold and mirthless, echoed from the Veldari delegate, a being whose form refracted the light into a dazzling array of colors. "Cooperation?" The Veldari's voice was a crystalline chime. "Your words are pleasant, human, but we require actions, not assurances." Julia nodded, acknowledging the skepticism. "Then allow us to demonstrate," she replied, her tone firm yet inviting. The assembly leaned in, a singular entity of curiosity. Julia gestured subtly, and one of her aides, a young man with an unassuming demeanor, stepped forward. He carried a device, sleek and unobtrusive, its purpose cloaked in simplicity. The aide placed it on the podium before them, its surface flickering to life with a soft, azure glow. "This," Julia announced, "is a transmutation interface, a product of human ingenuity, designed to address the resource scarcity faced across the galaxy. It is capable of synthesizing elements and compounds with unparalleled efficiency." A collective intake of breath washed over the conclave. The Zinther ambassador, with her serpentine grace, curled forward, her voice a whispering wind. "Such technology, it defies known limits. Yet it exists," Julia replied, her eyes meeting the Zinther's with unyielding confidence. "And we offer it freely, to foster collaboration and shared advancement." Ralgar's eyes narrowed further, suspicion a tangible aura about him. "A gift so potent must have a price," he countered. Julia shook her head slowly. "The only price is mutual respect and the promise of peace." The murmurs grew louder now, a cacophony of doubt and intrigue. The Veldari's crystalline form shimmered as it pondered the implications, while the Crothians exchanged guarded glances. This moment was pivotal, teetering on the edge of possibility. Julia knew the stakes, felt the tension in every sinew of her being. In the quiet that followed, a subtle beep emanated from the device, drawing all eyes to its luminescent display. Numbers and symbols danced across the surface, a silent testament to its capabilities. Then, As if in response to the unspoken challenge, the device began its work. In moments, the air around it shimmered, threads of energy weaving an elegant tapestry of transformation. A small ingot of metal materialized, its surface gleaming under the ambient light, a rare alloy, coveted by many for its strength and versatility. The room was hushed, every delegate transfixed by the spectacle. No longer was this theoretical, no longer a mere promise. It was reality, tangible and undeniable. Ralgar's voice broke the silence, now tempered with begrudging admiration. Impressive, human, yet, such advances invite others to covet them. Julia nodded, her expression resolute. We are aware, and we are prepared. Humanity may be new to this arena, but we are not defenseless. We value peace, but we will not be underestimated. The chamber was alive with the energy of shifting tides. The humans had shown their hand, and it was a stronger one than many had anticipated. The delegates exchanged glances, a silent acknowledgement that this was no longer a matter of simple diplomacy but a recalibration of galactic dynamics. The Zinther ambassador, her serpentine form undulating with renewed interest, addressed her counterparts. Perhaps we have underestimated our new allies. Their technology could reshape our reality. Ralgar grunted, a sound that echoed through his massive frame. Or it could spell our undoing, should we fail to understand its power. Julia seized the moment, her voice a beacon through the haze of uncertainty. We stand ready to share our knowledge, to build a future that benefits all. But we are also prepared to defend our ideals, our people. Her words lingered in the air, a challenge wrapped in diplomacy. The conclave had come expecting to witness the pleading of an upstart species. Instead, they faced a formidable contender, one whose potential was only beginning to unfurl. Ralgar exchanged a look with the Veldari, whose crystalline structure shimmered in contemplation. Then perhaps, the Veldari intoned, it is time we reconsider our stance. The tension in the chamber eased slightly, the atmosphere shifting from confrontation to cautious intrigue. The humans had turned the tide, yet the path ahead remained fraught with perils unseen. We shall deliberate, the Zinther declared, her voice a silken thread guiding the assembly towards consensus. Julia nodded, a subtle acknowledgement of the progress made. The humans had come to the conclave as potential pawns, but they would leave as players in a game far grander than any had anticipated. As the delegates began their discussions, Julia stepped back, her heart a symphony of relief and anticipation. Humanity's journey was just beginning, its course forever altered by this pivotal encounter. The chamber buzzed with the undercurrent of evolving dynamics, the air thick with the scent of possibility. Humanity had shown its hand, and the galaxy would never view them the same way again. With a final glance at her team, Julia exhaled slowly, the weight of responsibility a familiar companion. The road ahead was uncertain, but it was theirs to forge. And forge it they would, with steel in their hearts and stars in their eyes. The conclave adjourned, but the echoes of this day would resonate through the eons. Humanity had stepped from the shadows, revealing a glimpse of their true strength. In that revelation, the galaxy had found both a promise and a warning, not to underestimate the indomitable spirit of the human race. The air was saturated with tension, a palpable pressure that seemed to bow the very walls of the Galactic Council chamber. Delegates from across the cosmos filled the amphitheater, their expressions ranging from curiosity to disdain as they awaited the pivotal hearing that could redefine interstellar relations. At the heart of this gathering, Earth's representative, Ambassador Elena Valdez, stood poised, a solitary figure in this sea of alien presences. Her eyes swept across the chamber, noting every nuanced flicker of antennae and twitch of scales, the subtle signs of alien skepticism. For years, the Intergalactic Federation had watched humanity with wary eyes, perceiving them as a primitive, unpredictable species. The recent accusations against humanity, a breach of the delicate interstellar accord, had set the stage for this trial. But Valdez was not one to be easily intimidated. Her presence exuded a quiet confidence that belied the gravity of the situation. As the session commenced, The Prime Arbiter, an elder of the Zeridian species, floated to the forefront. His crystalline form shimmered ethereally under the chamber's ambient lights, his voice resonating with the weight of eons. Ambassador Valdez, you stand accused of violating the core treaties of the Galactic Accord. The Council demands an explanation for humanity's encroachment on restricted territories. Valdez met his gaze, her voice unwavering. Honored Arbiter, esteemed members of the Council, I stand before you not to deny these claims, but to elucidate the context behind humanity's actions. Context that has been gravely misunderstood. A murmur swept through the assembly, but Valdez pressed on. Humanity did not seek to expand recklessly into restricted space. We were compelled by a crisis, a cosmic anomaly threatening not just our solar system, but the very fabric of the galaxy itself. The Arbiter's gaze sharpened. An anomaly? Explain yourself, Ambassador. Valdez activated a holographic display, projecting data streams and visual simulations into the chamber. Celestial maps unfolded, tracing the anomaly's trajectory, a pulsing rift in the continuum, its energy fluctuations detailed with precision. This anomaly, a singularity on the brink of collapse, threatened to cascade into a black hole, dragging entire systems into oblivion. The murmurs grew louder, skepticism mingling with intrigue. An alien delegate, a reptilian Cythraxian, rose to challenge her. And what evidence do you have that this anomaly is anything more than human fabrication to justify your trespass? Valdez anticipated this skepticism. We are not alone in our findings. I call upon our allies, the Titian scientists, who have corroborated our observations. From the shadows, a Titian scientist, a being composed of shimmering blue bioluminescence, drifted forward. We have verified the anomaly's existence. Humanity's intervention was not an act of aggression, but a necessary measure to avert catastrophe. The chamber buzzed with heightened interest, but disbelief still lingered in the eyes of many. Valdez knew the tide was shifting, yet she needed more, a decisive demonstration of humanity's capabilities and intentions. We did not come to the edge of this abyss unprepared, Valdez continued. Humanity has long been underestimated. Our perseverance and ingenuity are unmatched, our drive to overcome insurmountable odds unparalleled. With a nod to her aide, a discreet signal was sent. Far above, in the depths of space, the human delegation's flagship, the Triumph, responded. Its massive form, hidden by cloaking technology, became visible, a marvel of human engineering. The ship's presence was a testament to human innovation, its design an elegant integration of form and function, bristling with advanced technology. The Triumph's captain, Admiral Asher, appeared on the chamber's main screen, a figure of resolute authority. Ambassador Valdez, we are prepared to initiate the demonstration. Valdez turned back to the assembly. We have devised a solution to stabilize the anomaly, a feat deemed impossible by conventional means. Our technology harnesses quantum entanglement to create a stabilizing field, a convergence of science and intuition that only humanity could achieve. The skepticism began to waver, curiosity taking its place. The aliens leaned forward, their diverse eyes fixed on the display of human ingenuity. Proceed, Admiral, Valdez instructed. In the depths of space, the Triumph unleashed its payload, a series of quantum probes, each a pinnacle of human technological prowess. They danced across the void, weaving an intricate web around the anomaly. The chamber watched in awe as the probes resonated in harmony, their frequencies aligning with the anomaly's chaotic pulses. The data streamed in real time, a symphony of numbers and visuals painting the stabilization process. The anomaly's erratic energy waned, its potential for destruction diminishing with each passing second. The chamber held its collective breath, witnessing the triumph of human determination and intellect. A collective realization began to dawn upon the assembly. The humans, once dismissed as reckless and primitive, had achieved the impossible. Their boldness was not born of arrogance, but of necessity, their actions driven by a profound understanding of the stakes at hand. The Prime Arbiter's voice, now tinged with respect, filled the chamber. Humanity has demonstrated not only their technological prowess but their willingness to protect the greater good. The Council acknowledges your actions as a service to the galaxy. Valdez inclined her head in acknowledgement, her expression one of quiet satisfaction. We do not seek conquest, but cooperation. Humanity wishes to be a partner in safeguarding the cosmos, not an adversary. The chamber resonated with a newfound respect, the misjudgments of the past dissolving in the face of undeniable truth. The humans had turned the tables, transforming skepticism into admiration with their display of courage and brilliance. As the session drew to a close, Valdez stood tall, her heart swelling with pride. Humanity, once underestimated, had proven their mettle not through conquest, but through the strength of their spirit and the reach of their vision. As the delegates dispersed, the Scythraxian who had challenged her earlier approached, his demeanor markedly changed. Ambassador Valdez, I misjudged your species. Today, humanity has shown the galaxy a new path forward. Valdez extended a hand, a gesture of goodwill and understanding. Let us walk it together. As they clasped hands, the chamber echoed with the promise of a new era. Humanity, at their best and most capable, had secured their place among the stars, their triumph a testament to their indomitable will and boundless potential. And thus, the humans emerged victorious, their legacy sealed in the annals of interstellar history, a beacon of hope and possibility for all who dared to dream beyond the stars. The air of the Grand Chamber was thick with anticipation as the representatives of the Galactic Concord gathered for the first time since humanity's unexpected rise to prominence. The room, an amalgamation of countless architectural styles from dozens of species, resonated with whispers that swirled like eddies among the delegates. At the heart of this assembly stood Ambassador Alara Nguyen, her presence a testament to the seismic shift humanity had catalyzed across the galaxy. Alara surveyed the room, her gaze meeting those of old adversaries and new allies alike. The once derisive sneers had been replaced by expressions of wary respect. Humanity's tenacity had not just survived the diplomatic web of deceit but had thrived, bringing a delicate balance to the fractured political landscape. Now, as she prepared to address the assembly, Alara felt a profound sense of closure. Representatives of the Concord, she began, her voice ringing with clarity and conviction, humanity has always been underestimated. We have stood at the precipice of extinction, only to rise, adapt, and transform. Our journey here was not without struggle or sacrifice, but it has taught us, and you, that our strength lies in unity and resilience. The room fell silent, the weight of her words hanging heavy in the air. Just months prior, humanity had been but a fledgling member of this vast interstellar community, often dismissed as a primitive and inconsequential species. The diplomatic siege orchestrated by the Dravari Syndicate had been intended to break humanity's will, yet it had achieved the opposite. Sitting amongst the delegates was Kellen, a Dravari envoy who had once scoffed at humanity's pleas for peace. Now, he watched Alara with a mixture of respect and regret. The Dravari had been humbled by a series of strategic defeats, each orchestrated through a combination of human ingenuity and unyielding spirit. Kellen could not deny the truth. Humanity had not sought to dominate, only to coexist. As Alara continued, she spoke of the alliances formed with unlikely partners, the collaborations that had blossomed in the fertile ground of mutual respect. The Valorians, once staunch isolationists, had opened their archives to humanity, sharing technologies that had once been guarded secrets. In return, humanity had offered their expertise in adaptive engineering, solving long-standing issues that had plagued the Valorian colonies. Dr. Anika Voss, the brilliant human scientist whose innovations had turned the tide of battle, sat quietly, reflecting on her journey. Her breakthroughs in energy manipulation had been pivotal, not only saving Earth from destruction but also providing sustainable power solutions that now fueled the Concord's endeavors. Her presence at this assembly was a testament to the collaborative spirit that had emerged from conflict. Beside her, Captain Tariq Hassan of the Starship Endeavour, a vessel that had become legendary through its daring missions, felt the weight of the lives saved and lost. His crew had become a symbol of human resilience, their courage and camaraderie a beacon of hope in the darkest times. The alliances forged in the fires of adversity had strengthened their resolve, and the friendships made with other species were ties that would last far beyond the conflicts they had survived. At the far end of the chamber, First Arbiter Xylara, an influential member of the Concord, observed the proceedings with keen interest. Her once cynical view of humanity had softened over time, her skepticism eroded by the undeniable evidence of human potential. She marveled at how this species, so new to the interstellar stage, had managed to bring about a fundamental shift in the power dynamics of the galaxy. Today, Alara continued, we stand not as conquerors, but as partners. Our greatest strength has been in reaching out, in seeking understanding over dominance. The challenges we face are not insurmountable when we choose to face them together. As her speech drew to a close, the chamber erupted in applause, an unprecedented display of unity and approval that echoed through the halls. Humanity had not just survived, they had transformed the very fabric of the galaxy's political landscape. The ripples of their actions had forged a new path, one where cooperation would supersede conflict. In the weeks that followed, the ramifications of humanity's triumph became increasingly evident. Treaties were signed, not with the ink of surrender but with the promise of collaboration. The Concord's new charter, inspired by human ideals, emphasized shared goals and collective progress. Initiatives were launched to address the environmental and societal challenges faced by many worlds, fueled by the newfound spirit of unity. Alara, now a respected figure in galactic diplomacy, found herself at the helm of these initiatives. Her leadership had inspired not only her own people but countless others who had witnessed the undeniable impact of human compassion and determination. Under her guidance, the Concord launched the Celestial Bridge Project, an ambitious plan to create a network of interstellar hubs that would facilitate trade, cultural exchange, and mutual growth. The Dravari, humbled and seeking redemption, were among the first to join this initiative. Kellen, once a cynic, had become a fervent advocate for peace, working closely with Alara to mend the rifts between their peoples. His journey from adversary to ally was emblematic of the broader transformation taking place across the galaxy. For Anika, the fruits of her labor were evident in the thriving colonies that now dotted the stars, powered by the technologies she had developed. Her work on sustainable energy had not only secured a future for humanity but had also laid the foundation for a new era of exploration and discovery. Captain Hassan and his crew continued their missions, exploring the far reaches of the galaxy with renewed purpose. The Endeavor had become a symbol of hope, its voyages chronicling the endless possibilities that lay beyond the horizon. The friendships they had forged with other species were a testament to the power of unity and trust, bonds that would endure for generations. And so, the galaxy turned, its arc bent toward a more hopeful future. Humanity had left an indelible mark, a legacy not of conquest but of cooperation and resilience. The challenges they faced were far from over, but the spirit of unity that had been ignited burned brightly, lighting the way forward. As the stars twinkled in the vast expanse of the cosmos, Alara stood at the viewport of the Concord's headquarters, reflecting on the journey that had brought them here. The galaxy was a tapestry of countless stories, each interwoven with the threads of shared experience and mutual respect. Humanity's place within this tapestry was secure, their role as architects of a new era undeniable. For in the end, it was not the might of their weapons but the strength of their spirit that had triumphed. Humanity had shown the galaxy that their true power lay not in what they could take, but in what they could give. And in giving, they had forever changed the course of history, leaving behind a legacy of hope and possibility, a future where the stars were no longer the limit, but just the beginning.